To add, thank you all for the comments. I am going to pause this account until after the holidays and will post an update if anything interesting happens. I've decided to go into this armed with a couple of the quick and simple responses that people have suggested here. My favorites are, "Wow, what an inappropriate comment," or "I can't believe you said that out loud." James and I will chat too after the holidays. I agree he needs to set better boundaries. But we can have that conversation privately after the chaos of Christmas. Happy holidays, everyone. My name is 31-year-old female, and my boyfriend is 30-year-old male. We have been together for 3 years. We have gotten to know each other's families quite well, as we live nearby and can visit often. I love my boyfriend's family, except for his brothers, 33-year-old male, long-term girlfriend, 33-year-old female. I will call her sister-in-law for simplicity in the title. Let's call my boyfriend James. His brother will be Mike, and his brother's girlfriend Kelly. Kelly and Mike have been dating for 5.5 years. I truly believe she is well-intentioned, but oh my gosh, she is incredibly tough to be around. I get along with almost everyone I meet, but being around her actively makes me feel like I'm losing brain cells. We are polar opposites, but that's not why she's difficult. She makes wildly inappropriate comments to everyone around her, has no sense of self-awareness, and thinks the world owes her something. Kelly and Mike are not in a good financial position. Kelly is unable to work because of her traumatic childhood, and Mike works more than 50 hours a week in construction. He works extremely hard to provide for them, and she spends her days at the local bar with the local riffraff, and then complains about not being able to afford to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home on several acres of land in our high cost of living state. For Christmas, my boyfriend's parents are hosting celebrations, and we are doing a small gift exchange with a maximum budget of $10 per person, and then everyone drew a name from a hat, and we get that person one gift of up to $50. Total spending is $100 each. So everyone gets one big gift and a couple of small things. At first, we had no budget, but Mike was concerned about being able to participate. So we set a budget, and James gave Mike $200 so he wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not Secret Santa, so everyone knows who drew which name. James drew Kelly's name, and immediately she started sending him links to things that were $100 or more for him to get her. He reminded her of the budget that we set to benefit them, and she said, "You can afford it. These are the only things I want." And made it worse by saying, "Mike drew your name, and we're getting you something nicer than $50. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she may not know. James gave Mike the $200 to help them out. She hounded James about it being unfair that they suffer while we have so much. So clearly he can afford to get her a nicer gift. Both James and I are very comfortable, but we've both worked hard for everything we have. She insulted him, called him greedy, told him that he's selfish and only cares about himself and the fancy life he lives with me, and that Mike and she resent him for abandoning them. James is the kind of person who would give his last dollar away, would give the shoes off his feet in a snowstorm, and who acts tough but is actually just a big softie. A lot of people take advantage of that. And he caved. He got her the fancy over-budget gift. James and Mike's parents just kind of roll their eyes at her when she makes weird, inappropriate comments. And their mom has confided in me that she's happy at least James picked a normal one, and that she's glad she doesn't have to take care of both of her sons into adulthood. They are completely unaware of what has happened behind the scenes between Kelly and James. I'm not afraid of confrontation, but I don't want to ruin Christmas by losing my temper at her. She's bound to say something or do something because she always does, and I really don't know if I can bite my tongue much longer. I am furious at her. I feel like I'm going to explode if she makes one offhanded comment or snide remark, and I'm betting it'll only take 20 minutes for her to say something foolish. It's not about the gift. We don't care about the money. To me, this is icing on the cake of her already poor behavior. To James, it's just another thing he wants to let slide because he loves his brother, and it makes Mike's life easier if Kelly is happy and not complaining. How can I navigate this and stop her from taking advantage of James in the future? Talking to her rationally is futile. James did try that, and that's how we ended up here. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Just be careful she doesn't push you into being the bad guy. That way, she will try to isolate Mike from his loved ones, and things will go downhill. I think you should privately talk to Mike and let him know you're always there for him when he needs to talk it out. I would gently state you're worried about financial abuse. Perhaps ask him what she does genuinely contribute. Tell him you won't be entertaining her verbal attacks, but that if they're happening to him at home, he's allowed to speak up about it and that you'll believe him. She sounds awful. Comment 2. I'm sorry, she doesn't work because of a traumatic childhood. My husband and I both carry a lot of trauma for the worst reasons you can imagine, and we both work. I think you have our permission to say something. Now for the update. It's been about a month since the Christmas drama with Kelly. Yeah, you know, the one where she pressured James for an expensive gift even though we all had a $50 limit. Honestly, I needed a break from that whole family. So, I decided to skip family gatherings for a while after the holidays. But then James invited me to a birthday party for his mom at their house. I knew Kelly would be there, and I was not ready to deal with her. I was still thinking about avoiding her and the whole family. It was really tempting to say no and just stay home. But this was a birthday party for James's mom, and I didn't want to let her down. So I reluctantly agreed to go. When I got there, everyone was chatting and enjoying snacks in the living room. It was nice to see everyone happy and relaxed. I was really hoping for a chill evening. Then, of course, Kelly showed up late, making a big entrance. She always has to be the center of attention. She brought a super fancy gift for James's mom, which made everyone else's gifts look small. I could see the awkwardness on other people's faces. I just wanted to roll my eyes and get a drink to forget about it. But that wasn't the worst of it. Kelly made a big deal about her new job, claiming this crazy salary. I hate how she always feels the need to one-up everyone. Like, we get it, you're doing well. You don't have to make everyone else feel small. During dinner, she made these snide remarks about the food, saying it was too simple for her taste. I could see James's mom seemed uncomfortable, but laughed it off, probably just trying to keep things cool. But inside, I could feel the tension building, especially from James. He was visibly annoyed, which made me even more nervous. After dinner, Kelly challenged me to a game of charades, trying to take center stage. She always tries to make everything about her. I reluctantly joined in, but she kept interrupting and trying to steal the spotlight. At one point, she even mimicked my previous attempts, making it awkward for everyone. I could see James looking uncomfortable, trying to defend me, but Kelly just brushed him off. I was about ready to lose it, so I decided to step away and grab a drink from the kitchen to cool off. While I was in the kitchen, I overheard Kelly talking to another family member about me. She was saying I was jealous of her success and too sensitive to handle the family. I couldn't believe it. It was all a lie. I was done with her crap. I went back to the living room to confront her, and she was there smirking with her friends like she owned the place. At that moment, James's dad jokingly asked if anyone wanted to play a drinking game. Kelly eagerly suggested a game that involved embarrassing dares and pointed at me. I felt like I was going to explode. When it was my turn, she dared me to reveal a family secret. Instead of a secret, I revealed how she pressured James for expensive gifts. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Kelly, who was visibly fuming. She tried to laugh it off, but the vibe changed and people began murmuring. It was a great moment. James looked shocked by my outburst, and Kelly's friends shifted uncomfortably. I noticed James's mom giving Kelly a disapproving look. It was kind of hilarious. A week later, James called me to talk about the fallout from the party. He told me that Kelly had been trying to manipulate him into apologizing to her. I told him about the whole conversation I overheard in the kitchen, and he was furious. He refused to get involved in Kelly's drama and decided to set firm boundaries. I was really proud of him. We had a long talk about our future and family dynamics. We agreed to approach family events as a united front from now on. No more letting Kelly walk all over us. A few days later, I got a text from Kelly demanding an apology for the disgraceful night. I was so done with her. I heard through family members that she had been spreading rumors about me. So I decided to take the opportunity to expose Kelly's behavior to the wider family. At the next family gathering, I calmly laid out the truth about Kelly's actions. The family was shocked, and Kelly was left isolated as her facade crumbled. It felt so good to not be the only one who saw her for what she really is. I didn't even care if I caused a rift in the family. If they wanted to keep supporting someone like her, then I didn't want to be a part of it. Edit. A few people asked about how James's family is reacting to my outburst. To be honest, most of them seemed to be on my side. They were shocked by Kelly's behavior, especially when I pointed out what she had said about the food. Some family members even apologized for not addressing her behavior sooner. Only a few were upset for calling her out in front of everyone. James's parents are still processing everything, but they appreciate our honesty. Am I the idiot for changing the locks and filing a protective order against my husband after he threatened me? My partner and I have been together for 3 years, but have known each other for 6 years. We have been having issues for about a year now due to a lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of ambition, and poor communication skills, stonewalling, laughing when speaking about my feelings because he feels something I said isn't true, cursing at me. I've been wanting to leave him for some time, but I held on hoping things would change. He got a security job yesterday after being unemployed for 1 year and 9 months and 3 months of work the year before that, 2023. I recently started my career by landing my first job and have been very proud of my accomplishments, and I think he may be jealous of my success. I have more confidence in myself and have been growing and healing while he hasn't. I had the day off yesterday and went to pick up my paycheck. While I was gone, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., he went home to his mother's house without a text or phone call. So I called him when I got back to my apartment, and he accused me of being sneaky because I went alone, gone for an hour, 20-minute drive one way, and dressed business casual. I asked him how I am supposed to dress to go to the business office where the owner of the company works. Later in the evening at 8 p.m., he showed up to my apartment unannounced as I was coming home from Hobby Lobby, which is 25 minutes away, because I needed last-minute Christmas decor for my Christmas party. I returned with a Christmas candy dish. When I got back home, he was standing at my back door. As I was walking up, he was asking me where I went and who I was with. When we got inside, he started violently cursing at me, calling me a name and saying things like he would slap me. Then he became silent, just staring at me. I actually was scared of him for the first time in the relationship. I didn't know what to do and feared he would react. Shortly after, he walked up to me and grabbed my face with an extremely tight grip and continued asking me where I had been for so long. And if I'm lying, he's going to beat me. I was afraid to tell him to leave, thinking he may destroy my apartment or my car. He has been making violent threats towards me for the past week, while also love-bombing me at the same time. This morning, he thankfully left at 7 a.m. for the security job orientation, but I'm afraid of what could happen if I break up with him now. I have blocked his number, and he doesn't have a key to my apartment. This is just beyond my liking, and being constantly belittled isn't a great feeling. I've considered calling the police, but his stepfather is a sheriff, so I don't feel it will be useful. Does anyone have any suggestions on how I should handle the situation? Thank you in advance. I appreciate you all. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Text him that the relationship is over due to the threats of violence against you. Text him that you don't feel safe around him and that he is no longer welcome at your home. Tell him that if you see him near your home or work, you will assume he is there to carry out the threats he voiced and will call the police immediately without speaking to him. Tell him if he approaches you in public, you will scream for help and will not talk to him, no matter what. Tell him you will not respond to any messages on any platform. Put it all in writing, especially that he threatened you and you don't feel safe. Do not respond to anything he sends, no matter what. Save it all and contact the municipal police department. not the sheriff's office. Comment 2. Well, since you haven't broken up with him yet, I would just send him a short text saying this relationship isn't working, I'm breaking up with you and it's over. Do not contact me ever again. Make sure you have your apartment locked up tight and get cameras. I know his father is a sheriff, but unless this is a really small town, he should be held accountable, especially if he does anything physical to you. Document, document, document. They can't all turn a blind eye. If you are in the United States, get the local state police involved. They should have a chapter near you, or you could at least call them and say that the local police are not helpful because of the family ties, and they will help, or they should. Now for the update. A few days after my ex left for that job orientation thing, I felt super relieved. For the first time in ages, I thought, maybe I can actually move on from this mess. I decided to change the locks on my apartment for some extra security because I just needed to feel safe. So, on a random Tuesday evening, I got this unexpected text from him asking for a chance to talk. I was like, not again, but I got curious, so I agreed to meet him in a public place. We picked a small diner we used to go to on casual dates back when things were less of a mess. When he walked in, it was clear he was trying to act all calm, but he looked tired and stressed. He started talking about how stressed he was at work and even apologized for his past behavior. I just listened, keeping my guard up because, honestly, I didn't trust anything he said. Then, out of nowhere, he changed the topic and started accusing me of being untrustworthy, saying he had been hearing rumors about me. I was confused and like, where are you getting this info from? But he dodged the question. His tone got more intense, and he started threatening to expose me if I didn't cooperate. We left the diner feeling uneasy, and I realized I needed to protect myself even more. The next day, I got this email from his workplace claiming he had filed a complaint against me. Like, what? I was shocked and realized he was trying to twist the situation to control the story. I knew I couldn't handle this alone, so I reached out to a close friend to get some support and talk about what to do next. My friend suggested that I document everything, so I started keeping a detailed log of events. I noted his erratic behavior and the threats he made during our encounters. One weekend, I went to a family gathering, hoping to distract myself from the situation. While we were all sitting down to dinner, guess who showed up unannounced? Yep, my ex. He claimed he needed to speak to me urgently, and the whole family was just shocked and uncomfortable. They made it clear that they didn't want any drama at the gathering, and my sibling confronted my ex, telling him to leave. Of course, this led to a heated argument, with him accusing me of trying to turn my family against him. I just stayed quiet, feeling the tension rise, and not wanting to make things worse. After he finally left, my family expressed their concern and urged me to take action. Back at home, I decided to contact a professional to discuss the situation more seriously. I learned about protective orders and the steps needed to file one if things got worse. I also gathered evidence of his erratic behavior, including text messages and emails. A week later, I learned through social media that he had been spreading false rumors about me at his workplace. I was done playing games, so I contacted a lawyer for advice. We filed a formal complaint about his behavior at work, providing all the documented evidence. He got called in for questioning, and it led to him being put on probation. I sent him a message detailing the consequences of his actions, stating that I wouldn't tolerate any more harassment. He responded with all this anger, threatening to escalate the situation, but I didn't reply. It was like his attempts to retaliate only seemed to backfire, causing him to lose friends who started distancing themselves. I thought that was the end of it, but then he showed up at my work one day. It was a busy afternoon, so I didn't see him right away. My coworkers later told me he was asking for me and trying to talk to people about me. They said he seemed agitated and even threatened to make my life miserable if he didn't get a chance to talk to me. My coworkers were awesome because they refused to engage and told him to leave the premises. They even called security to escort him out. After that, I knew I really needed to take more serious steps, so I filed a formal police report and started the process for a protective order. I'm just really scared now, and I feel like I can't escape all this. I hate that he's still trying to control me and my life. I'm trying to stay strong and not let him win, but it's just so hard. Wish me luck. Edit. After my ex's threats escalated, I gathered more evidence and consulted a lawyer to file for a protective order. I learned about the process and what qualifies for one. It took time, but eventually I received the order, prohibiting him from contacting me or coming near my home or workplace. Am I the idiot for cutting off my abusive ex and refusing to let him near our unborn child? I'm currently 10 weeks pregnant and ultimately decided that the father of my baby should not and could not see us. For background, I made this decision based on the fact that he does not support me in any way, shape, or form. I currently live with my parents and am coping with my pregnancy alone. The worst part is, my parents are unaware I am pregnant, mostly due to my uncertainty about my ultimate decision regarding what I plan on doing. My ex lives in a house shared with other roommates, so our child could not live there anyway. There have been multiple occasions where he has made threats of harming my child and has actually kicked me in the stomach prior. The police were called, but no charges were placed since he claims it was self-defense because both of us were fighting and arguing with one another. I felt terrible after that situation because I was tired of feeling disrespected and feeling like I was treated poorly while I was pregnant. I wanted to stand up for myself, but I obviously made the situation much worse by allowing it to progress to that point. I cried for days and he tried to apologize, saying it was an accident. But I'm at the point where I feel like my mental health has been declining further, and I feel more distressed by keeping someone like this around, so he shouldn't be involved anymore. I have already been informed by many people that this abuse will continue, and I refuse to further endanger my child than they already have been. A lot of things have already happened, but I can't control the past and can only control the future. But I just can't handle being disrespected, being treated poorly, as well as threats being made toward my unborn child. The point of this post is to ask, am I a bad mother for not letting the father see our child in this circumstance? And are there any benefits I could receive, like child support, prior to my child being born? I'm taking care of everything all by myself with no support or help. I am not currently working because of another illness, but the father is working 2 jobs. Now for an update, I am so overwhelmed with the amount of love and support, plus good advice I'm hearing from everyone. I'm taking time to read everyone's comments. I know it's not easy, and I tend to be someone who thinks more with my heart than my brain, unfortunately. I'm in no contact with him currently, and I am trying my absolute hardest to keep it that way. Everyone's comments remind me of the type of person he is, and that my unborn child deserves better. My growing baby comes before any of this. I'm taking my own well-being into account. I just appreciate everyone being so kind and offering their opinions, plus sharing their own experiences. Just know every comment gets read, so yours makes a difference. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If you have this child, then the father will have equal rights to the child. You cannot unilaterally decide to not have anything to do with him. You will have to get his rights terminated by the court, which will be a long, expensive, and likely fruitless endeavor. Even convicted rapists have been known to get access to the child born from the rap. You are still early enough to decide to not have this child. Think carefully. Comment 2. Not to be negative, but is baby on a living not an option for you? Personally, I would do this option now if it is, as you are still very early on. Not sure what your country is like, but in mine, nobody would care here. It's whatever your belief is the best decision for you. This is, however, a decision that ties you to a person you do not want to be tied to, and appears to be more of a danger to you both going forward. Now for the update. A couple days after the initial post, I got a package at my parents' house. Yeah, I know, not the best address to send stuff to, but here we are. It was addressed to me from the father of my baby. I really didn't want to open it, but I was too curious. Inside was a letter and a small gift. The letter had an apology and claimed he was changing. I mean, how many times have I heard that line? This dude needs some new material. My mom saw the package and asked who it was from. I told her it was from my ex, and she looked concerned. My dad overheard and came into the room, wanting to know what was going on. So here we are, with my parents all up in my business. I decided to keep the details vague, telling them I was handling it. They suggested I block him on all platforms. I mean, they weren't wrong. I took their advice and removed him from my social media. Out of sight, out of mind, right? A week later, I went to my first prenatal appointment alone. The doctor confirmed everything was healthy. Thank goodness for that. After the appointment, I saw the father's car parked outside the clinic. Of course, right? He was talking to someone outside. I quickly left through a different exit to avoid him. Not today, Satan. Later that week, I was at the grocery store when I ran into his roommate. The roommate asked about the baby, acting casual but clearly uncomfortable. I told him I was doing well and focusing on my child, like I told him anything else. I avoided discussing the father and hurried out of the store. A few days later, my parents hosted a barbecue to celebrate the 4th of July. I invited my sister Kate and her family, as well as my brother Jake and Rachel. The atmosphere was light, and everyone was enjoying the food and drinks. Jake made a toast about family and support. It was sweet, but I couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. That night, I received a text from the father demanding to see me and the baby. I didn't respond, focusing instead on my family at the barbecue. The next day, I decided to tell my parents everything about the father's threats. They were supportive and insisted on keeping me safe. My dad suggested I install a security system at their house. I agreed. Better safe than sorry, right? A few days later, I received a call from the father's roommate again. He said the father was spiraling and had been drinking heavily. I decided to reach out to someone from a local women's support group for advice. They suggested creating a safety plan, which I started working on. I installed the security system. I received a text from the father asking to meet, claiming he wanted to be part of the baby's life. I replied with a firm no, stating he was not welcome. A couple of days later, I found out the father had been seen near my parents' house. I called the police to report his behavior. They advised me to document everything and keep records. So, I decided to take control by filing for a restraining order. Yeah, you heard that right, a restraining order. I completed the paperwork. The next week, I received confirmation that the restraining order was granted. I spent the evening with my family. We watched a movie, ate popcorn, and just tried to forget about the crap going on outside our front door. Life was good for a few hours. Thank you for reading. Edit. I appreciate the support and concern. My family is aware of the father's behavior now. They have been great at helping me feel safe and supported. The father's roommate has been checking in with me, and I guess he is worried about his friend. I told him I didn't want to know details about the father. The appointment was routine, and the doctor asked about my support system, which I found odd at the time. No complications so far. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.